Order, roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman Sorrentino.
Here.
Alderman Sizmarsky.
Here.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Mayor Police.
Here, I declare quorum present. Please stand, join the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Oh, my.
I need a motion to approve the city council minutes of December 1st, 2016. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, corrections, comments? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? Okay. Don't have a written communique this evening. Under Mayor's report, I will turn the mic over to Mr. Ed Cage for a short presentation.
Yes, thank you, Matt. Just wanted to update the council. We have Representative Michael Blue from Tesco Associates, who's going to talk to you briefly about the comprehensive plan project and answer any questions you have. Obviously, from the city standpoint, this is a big project. Typically, it's a year-long project. We're very excited about it because it plans out the future, so we're very excited about it. And with that, I'll introduce Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Mayor, Council, pleasure to see you all. Wanted to thank you first for the opportunity to work with you on this project. My name is Michael Blue. I'm a principal with Tesco. We're a city planning and design firm. We're located in Evanston. We are the lead consultant on the team that's going to be working with the staff and with all of you and with the steering committee that I know Mayor's going to be talking about. Just wanted to tell you briefly about what we'll be up to, what we'll be asking these steering committee members to be doing. The idea is essentially at the end of the year-long process that Ed was describing, is to come out with really a rule book. The city's got a history of planning, so none of this is a surprise to any of you. But the idea is to have kind of a rule book. A comprehensive plan is a document that sets out action items, things to do, policies to follow in terms of development and opportunities that arise for the city, all aimed at implementing a vision, right? The common goal that's going to be part of this process. And it's really just done in a few steps. And I'll go through them quickly just so we're all on the same page. And then if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. The first thing that we do, and we're doing now, we're at the beginning of the process, is to collect all the existing conditions. What's on the ground, what's the economy like, what are the markets like, what are the transportation improvements, what's the land use, so on and so forth. You know, I would describe it as mundane, but it's what I do, so we love it. But it's a great way for us to learn. It's about what's physically on the ground. We will also be talking to a lot of people. We'll be talking to stakeholders. We'll be relying on this steering committee. We've got a survey that we're working on. We generally, this time of year, don't do a lot of outreach to the community to get them excited about doing this because they're kind of distracted, and this is not the time of year to do it. But after the first of the year, we've got a lot of outreach to the community to get going on, and then we will put together an assessment of all that. We'll share it with the steering committee. We'll come back with all of you, and share with you where we are in terms of the existing conditions. A part of that we're excited to do is at your direction, as was part of your request for proposals, there's going to be a branding and identity component to this. This is something that really is kind of best practice, kind of cutting edge in terms of what communities are doing about distinguishing themselves. It's not so much competition, but it's who are you, and it's part of the vision, and it's how do we go forward. For us, it's very exciting because it helps create kind of this direction, this North Star, if you will, that we can all follow to make sure we're all pulling in the same direction. So we'll be doing that over the first few months of the project. It will probably not be warm yet by the time we're done doing all this existing conditions work. But at that point, the members of our team that are focusing on the branding and identity element will take over and do a lot of that work at that point. And then we're going to come up with a vision. some goals, objectives, and again, you're familiar with planning, so you know this is kind of fundamental to the plan. Sometimes people hear about, oh, we're going to do the vision thing. That's great, and it's kind of fluffy, and it doesn't mean much. I would tell you that done right, we have a lot of good luck with it, because it becomes the statement, the set of goals, the idea that when we get a question of what are we going to do with the plan, what direction do we take with some of the areas in town, that vision becomes very helpful. And so we put a lot of stock in it and know it'll help us out. Again, per your request, when you started looking to retain consultants, was to look at sub-areas, right, the key parts of town. These are easy. We're talking about the Wooddale Irving Park Road intersection, the commercial area around there, the real heart of the community. You've been doing a lot of work there already. How do we continue that? How do we build on what's been done? How do we advance on that? How do we take advantage of the traffic and transportation improvements that have recently been done? That'll be a big part of it. The other sub-area that we'll study will be up at the Thorndale corridor at Wooddale and Thorndale Road. Again, you've done a lot of work in this area, and there is a plan up there, but it's sort of pre-recession, and we have found that the planning world is very different since 2008, 2009, and a lot of what we're going to do is we're going to revisit those recommendations. We're going to revisit the implementation pieces, the whole section of the UDO that came out of that. So that will be updated and ready for time to come. Throughout this process, we'll be going to the community. We'll be working with the steering committee. They're going to be kind of our check-in point, essentially saying, we're doing right? This is the way, this is the appropriate way to do it for Wooddale, right? And they're going to help keep us in tune with the desires and the thoughts and the needs of the community. We'll come and check in with you a couple of times. We've got a couple of open houses planned for the community. So this is very much a community effort. We enjoy working in the kind of process that you've all set up, very, very iterative with the community, and when all is said and done, we'll have that document. So with that, if there are any questions, Mayor, I'm glad to answer them.
Alderman Messina.
Aside from your open house, what other outreach methods do you have?
Go ahead.
There's going to be a website. We get a lot of mileage out of websites these days. We will work with staff to do outreach in terms of either the city newsletter, mailings that go out, the things that you do regularly that people look at will be part of. The other thing that we're looking forward to doing is over the course of the project, to the extent there are a couple of events that go on, we've taken to going out to the community. So rather than just putting the survey out there and putting the website out there and waiting for people, we've had a lot of luck going out and going to whether or not they're regular farmers markets or other kinds of events, things where people have got tables and tents. We actually even have a tent that we pitch to be part of that and ask people to share what they think.
Follow up? Go ahead.
So some of the other firms I've researched and looked at had what's called a social media, like a listening tool. Do you guys offer anything like that? Because, as you know, people are much more brutally honest online on review boards and Facebook and versus, something like a traditional open house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The website's got a comment section. The website is optimized for cell phones, so it works well on a cell phone, on a smartphone. And there's a comment area that's in there, and we always do. We collect everything that we get. And you're very right. People don't all like standing up at a public meeting or coming out to an open house. They like to share things, whether it's more convenient for them or they like to do it anonymously. So like you say, so yeah, the website and the phone version of the website are just right for doing that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee appointments. For the steering committee, I have Vicki Irwin, I'll give you the list, Patty Jelowick, Marge Calva, Sal Lombardi, Barb McCauley, Rick Picorni, Tim Ruka, Sam Shortino, Dave Shamanik, Mitch Tao, George Vant, Lynette Zaremba, and as far as the aldermen go, from First Ward, Alderman Peter Jacob, from the Second, Alderman Art Woods, from the Third, Alderman Catalano, and from the Fourth, Alderman Sosmarski, and Alderman Catalano will be the chairman on this committee. There you go. And the only other thing I have is a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year on behalf of the city council and city staff, to all the residents. Enjoy and stay safe. Mr. Murmas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 items. First and foremost, we have a new business in town for residents who are interested. Mustang Truck Tire Supplies, Inc. They're located on 890 Seavert Drive, and they specialize in retail truck tire sales. My second item is this is the last meeting for calendar year 2016. We have a council meeting on January 5th, 2017, and then my favorite meeting of the year, committee meeting January 12th, 2017. We'll be discussing the city's capital improvement plan, which is always very exciting. So any residents interested in capital planning, come to the January 12th meeting, and it's a lot of fun. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Under the consent agenda, if no objections, do we have any objections? I'll entertain a motion.
I have one,
Alderman Woods.
number 8.
Item number 8. Any other objections? So I'll entertain a motion
I make the motion.
for 7
Second.
items. Okay. Peter's motion, Bernhard second. One through 10, yeah, and then I'll read off the items. Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Abstain.
Really? Okay. Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Abstain.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Abstain.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Thank you.
We had 3 abstentions, 5 yeses. That passes. Next, I entertain a motion to approve the items. Item number 1, a resolution seeking to approve an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Al Warren Oil for a new diesel fuel tank in an amount not to exceed $22,183. Item number 2, a resolution seeking to approve an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Mark Kresmery Construction LLC for the work at the North Wastewater Treatment Plant in an amount not to exceed $22,877.25. Item number 3, a resolution seeking to approve an agreement, an IGA between the City of Wooddale and DuPage County for the Wooddale Road, Irving Park Road project. Item number 4, resolution seeking to approve an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Robinson Engineering for the engineering and construction management of the Front Street parking lot project in an amount not to exceed $38,900. Item number 5, resolution authorizing the City of Wooddale to enter into an insurance agreement with Brit Specialty Insurance for city general liability, employee benefit liability, and auto insurance. Item number 6, a resolution authorizing the City of Wooddale to enter into an insurance agreement with Hanover Insurance Group for the city property and crime insurance. Item number 7, a resolution authorizing the City of Wooddale to enter into an insurance agreement with Illinois Public Risk Fund for workers' compensation insurance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Abstain.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley? Alderman Roy Wesley?
Abstain.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
And that passes. Okay, next committee chairman reports, Alderman Catalano, Planning and Zoning.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Health and Safety, Alderman Wesley. No report, Mayor. Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Woods.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance and Administration, Alderman Jacob.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, under other business, we'll start with item number 8. Need a motion to approve an ordinance creating Chapter 19 of the Municipal Code of the City of Wooddale regarding special event regulations and permitting. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Questions? Alderman Woods.
Yeah, I just have a couple quick questions for the police chief, I believe. Centering around the resident parties on private property and how we're gonna, when we have to sign up for those and how we distinguish those. When I read through all this, I was a little confused how that's gonna work. So I'll give you for an instance, I've had many family parties at my house. I have 65 to 70 people there. Do I have to get a permit?
No, you don't.
Chief, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. This is the noise control permit. It's a block party or noise control permit. The noise control permit is only to allow you to, in essence, get reprieve from the city ordinance on stereos, which is 300 feet from the residence. So it gives you for a private party, if you're gonna have a DJ, and what we see a lot is, we've seen these come through the clerk's office for weddings and baptisms and graduation parties, is they want to have a live band there or a live DJ until this allows them to go until 10 o'clock at night, and it's just, it allows our officers to also know that this place has special permission to host these parties. Just having, 50 people at your house isn't going to require a permit. The permitting part of this, for special events permitting, specifically lays out that it's for for commercial use. It doesn't apply to private or non-commercial events.
So,
Go ahead, follow up, Alderman Woods.
all right, so I still have the same 65, 70 people, but they're out on the patio and I've got a few speakers outside mounted. They can be loud depending on so we fire that up. Now am I in violation of not getting a permit? So I'm trying to figure out that we don't start out with good intentions and then all of a sudden something, we run afoul of this ordinance without thinking about it, and those were kind of my questions.
Chief, go ahead.
So, right now, you would be in violation of the ordinance after 7 PM if that stereo was heard more than 300 feet from your house. Typically, we would begin that with someone complains, and we would go make a visit and ask you to turn it down. What this allows you to do is up until 10 at night, is it gives you reprieve from the ordinance prohibiting music more than 300 feet from 7 PM to 10 PM, and this spells out that, it's gonna be a little bit louder, whether it be a band or a DJ or whatever the case may be, or your private stereo system. And it's giving prior permission to basically get some relief from the ordinance.
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
And how do we determine 300 feet? So if my direct neighbor calls, he doesn't count because he's only technically 2 feet away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But so it has to be somebody that would be the fifth house down, they have to complain because they would be 300 feet away or past the 300 feet. How does that work?
Go ahead,
How do we
Chief.
handle that?
Correct. We get those now that people that don't have the permits, sometimes the people next door are complaining. And it's, sometimes it's 11, 12 at night. This doesn't change anything existing with that. It would be people that are 300 feet away from your house or more. It's actually designed to protect you and give you some, not safety, but protection from someone complaining when you're having a reasonable get-together at your house and you've already gotten permission to have a stereo there, and we've given sign-off and the clerk's has that it's gonna be, a little bit noisier in the neighborhood for that evening until 10 PM. And then after that, that's kind of what a lot of other towns do, is 10 PM's about the time to diminish it a little bit more, so.
Okay, and just
Follow, go ahead.
one more. This is different path. So we created a chapter 19. How come we didn't put this under police regulations then, where we have like parades and circuses and the same thing? Doesn't it fall under a similar?
Chief.
We were actually looking at that with the codifier now, about possibly moving a couple of those things from chapter 14. But this on its own really probably should be a standalone chapter, and we kind of talked about this as staff, because it's not necessarily a police regulation. This is, in essence, to protect the city from liability when people want to use the city roadways. And it's happened several times over the last few years with Park District wants to do a run over the city roadways or a bicycle race that's happening through town. It's not really a police regulation, it's a chapter that outlines the steps that everyone needs to take to host an event that's gonna spill onto city property and possibly, increase liability for the city if there was an accident that happened on city property. So rather than put it under police code, it was seen as better to just put it under a separate chapter. And then if we made any changes to it, it would all be in chapter 19 as opposed to the police code.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Messina, go ahead, you were first.
Yeah, so I just want to get some clarification, because I know I went through this with you, right? So I got married abroad, came back, wanted to have a party, had a band. There's a noise permit that has to be pulled, and there had to be signatures of each of the neighbors, adjoining neighbors. That's going to change?
Go ahead, Chief.
What this one lays out is if you're having a block party, you need to have the residents of the block sign off on it.
Okay.
But if you're hosting a private party at your residence, it allows the clerk and the police department to say, it's not every weekend.
Yep.
You could have the permit, you don't need to have all your neighbors
This
sign off.
modification will
Hold on.
change it. Sorry.
Are you done, Chief?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Alderman Messina.
This modification changes that, right? Because I know that was a huge pain in the neck for me. I just want to make sure that this will address that.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, and what this would do is now if your residence was a habitual problem on the weekends that was loud music, we might not approve the stereo permit for a 7 to 10 p.m. But, someone that's coming in and having a wedding and we've never had a problem, you shouldn't really have to get a signature of all your neighbors. As a courteous neighbor, you might want to let the ones around you know that you're having a party, but other than that, this allows you to have an event on your property without having everyone on your block sign off on it, because you might not get everyone to sign off on it.
Did you have a follow-up on that?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. And Alderman Jacob, you had your hand up as well.
Alderman Messina asked the question I had.
Okay. Alderman Woods, thought
Yeah.
of something else?
Since we're on the signature with the block party, I wasn't gonna get into the block parties, but might as well since we're here. So you have to get 100% of the signatures to have a block party. So technically then, if the guy across the street from me says no, then you can't have the block party?
Chief?
Well,
So like if it's the guy,
Go ahead.
well, let me, we'll go back. So if it's the guy at the end of the block, you just close the street after him, so you could get around that. But if it happens to be the guy close to you or close to the center of the block where you would perceivably see the bulk of the party being, then by virtue of that one guy not signing off, you're completely unable to have a block party. That's kind of like one guy ruling the city and doesn't seem to be
sure,
Chief, go
fair.
ahead.
I don't know, this permit, the block party permit's been around for as long as I can remember, so I don't know the historical context of where it started. I'm guessing it was because if someone doesn't want their roadway blocked off, they might have a reason to object. If council wanted to change it to 75 or 90%, I think that would be reasonable too. The block party part of this is just kind of putting in some formal procedures that have been in place administratively for, I don't know, at least 10 years that I'm aware of, if not longer,
Right.
so.
I mean,
You have a follow-up?
I would be in support of lowering it down, that it's 75 or 90%, whatever would be appropriate, because you might have someone that doesn't want to sign off on it.
You have a follow-up?
right. I would want to propose that question to lower it. And I do understand where if there was somebody on the block that was on oxygen or medical issues, or there was a reason that they didn't want to do it, which was life, health, safety issue, I get that, but you know how it is. Some people just could be feuding. You live with this all the time in different areas where neighbors are fighting, therefore that whole block could never avail themselves to having a block party because two people can't get along, so.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I would say that would be reasonable. This was just following what was done in the past, but if we lower that, I think it would, we still have some discretion that if someone wants to have a block party every weekend and a person is objecting to it, we can say, well, it's not reasonable to shut off your street every weekend.
Right.
All right, Alderman Jacob, you had the other.
Yeah, the city clerk was just telling me that the intention of the signatures was just to notify the people, not to get their permission for it. So does it read to get the permission or just to let them know?
Hold on. Mr. Bond, do you have an answer to that? Go ahead, Chief.
Well, actually, the form has a place for each signature and address where it is, so I would say probably the best resolution to that would be either set a threshold of 50 or 75%. I would think that if you're gonna have a block party, you want at least a decent amount of the residents that actually wanna have a block party and their road shut down. So whatever you think that appropriate number is, without being 100%, I think it'd be good.
Do we,
Well, let me.
go ahead, Alderman Woods.
So what is the number we're using so that we're consistent in how we apply things? What's the number you're using for adding lights or street signs or? or-
Go ahead. Who wants to answer that? Matt or the chief?
I
Was it-
believe that is,
Hold on.
Thought that was simple
Miss-
majority. Was it
Mr.
higher?
Ms. Seaver?
Okay. In the past, it's been if you're having a party, whether it's a block party or in your backyard, and you're having music, whether it's a DJ or it's some guy playing a guitar or you're playing a CD. You have to notify the neighbors to the north, the south, the east, and the west of you. You don't have, there's no number that you have to have. You just have to notify them there's gonna be music, but it'll be off at 10 o'clock. It's just a notification. And when you get these signatures, they are not giving you permission. All they're doing is being made aware of what's going on. That's the way it's always been, unless something has changed and I don't know about it.
Mr. Bond with the follow-up? Good.
No, again, the purpose of it is to determine if there's a minimum, you don't want one person having a party every weekend and having, monopolizing the streets. It does provide, under the ordinance, it provides the city to adopt procedures for the purpose of implementing the code, carrying out the responsibilities of this particular ordinance. So if you have a situation, I would defer to the city staff, and if they find that they're running into problems where somebody's abusing it, then within the scope of that, you have the ability to amend that application and the issuance and approval of that accordingly.
So now what?
Alderman Eugene Wesley, go ahead.
So now you just said we better not recommend making a requirement of how many they need now.
No, I think
Go
what,
ahead, Mr. Brown.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think what you want to do is you don't want to have too many restrictions and regulations in there. You want to have the staff is going to make a determination. And again, you've got noise ordinances that regulate. If you've got a two-person party and they're blasting the sound, that's going to be regulated. The police are going to take the appropriate action. So,
Chief, you want to make a
I
comment?
got an idea. How about on that form, instead of listing a number, we just list it as saying, please indicate the names, addresses, and have them sign of people you have notified about this event. And if we look at a block that has 20 and 12 of the people have signed off, it would seem reasonable we could do that. We don't have to set a specific number. I don't know.
Go ahead, Alderman Woods.
Well, and I'm okay with a number, because obviously you're gonna have the party, those people are on board, and you would wanna know that they're on board, right, to have the party, so there would be that contact and those conversations. I just don't think that number should be 100%, which then puts too much power in one person's hands, especially at the end of a long, block, and I don't know what that number is, that's why I was reaching out to say, what's the number we use for approving a streetlight or a speed bump? Is that simple majority, 50%, 51%?
I'll defer to the clerk, Ms. Seaver. Go ahead.
There isn't a number, but they have to get petitions, they have to have them signed. So when they come back with the petitions, that's the idea, that's the number. Try to get as many as you can, nobody says you have to have 50 or 500 or one. Just to make them aware that there's going to be noise is the number one thing. And there's always a little noise besides the music.
Go ahead, Chief, you have a follow-up?
I think you're probably referring to the speed hump policy that was implemented, and I believe that was a majority of the respondents. or a majority of the addresses on the street. So it basically takes the number of houses, they have to have 50% or more that actually sign off that they want them. You know, we could follow something similar with this. And this isn't to stop parties or gatherings from happening. The main purpose of this code is for commercial events that could cause the city liability. These block party and noise permits have been around for a very long time, and probably just the number of 100%. Let's reduce that to a majority or 60% and see how it works, and we can come back and modify it if we think we need to. I don't think we're gonna have a problem with one of those numbers.
Well, I'll make
Go ahead,
a
Alderman Woods.
motion to
Wait.
change the 100.
Well, we have a motion
Oh.
and a second already. What's your amendment?
Well, I would respectfully request that we change it to a majority of the people on the block.
Alderman Jacob,
as
you were
opposed
the motion.
From the 100%.
Did-
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Alderman Sismarski, you second? Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Another question? Alderman Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is besides block parties, what about townhome associations and condo associations? How are those handled? Like if they want to have a party, block party at a condo building, or,
Go ahead, Chief.
Well, if they want to close off the city roadways, it would be handled the same way. And, you know, and one of the things that's included in this is, we always want to make it available that, hey, do you want a police officer or a canine to stop by? So that's on this application too. It's actually not discouraging parties, just making sure that sometimes some neighbors can complain at a very early hour at night. This gives people permission to actually go later at night without having negative consequences, because, you know, we certainly want to be reasonable with it too, so.
Right, and we even have they call the fire department out, they bring out the truck if they
Yep.
can. So, another follow-up, go ahead.
just one final question. Like I do know some townhouse or condo and townhomes have private streets. Could they just shut their road down without the city's permission? Because then how would fire trucks or police get in there, like on a private road?
Hold on a second. Mr. Bond,
Pat?
don't you think they still have to let us know?
Yeah, I mean, they could close off private streets, but they still have to provide access for public health, and that's the fire and police. So they have to allow ambulances, so it would have to be made so, in such a way that those vehicles could still access that facility.
Alderman Catalano.
Just out of curiosity, how many block parties have we had in the city of Wooddale over the years?
Over the years?
Well,
We have a few a year. Shirley, do you have any, because they come through your office.
go ahead,
No, just
Shirley.
in a typical year,
Yeah.
I mean.
A block party, where like Sweet Baby Ray's just had? Is that what you mean? Where you closed off the street?
Right.
Or are you talking about somebody having a birthday party and having a band?
Go ahead, Alderman Catalano.
To close off the streets.
You ask the chief, he's
Chief.
gonna close the street.
Because we coordinate with Public Works on the thing, it's a few a year. We get several noise permits a year, and it's usually for special parties and events. It's not an overwhelming number. Our concern more is with the commercial events that are traveling over city property, so it's not a frequent event.
Oh, thanks.
All right, get a roll call on that. With the amended motion,
And the amended motion is to make it the majority of signatures.
simple majority, right? Was that-
Right.
Okay. Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
And that passes.
I'm next.
Okay. Next on the other business, airport. Something, oh, under airport noise, Alderman Jacob.
Just would like to wish everybody happy holidays from the committee.
And under stormwater commission, Alderman Jacob.
No report.
Approval list of bills, December 15th, Alderman Jacob.
Make a motion to approve the list of bills for December 15, 2016, $1,204,365.97. That is my motion.
Second.
Gene was second.
Tony?
Gene was first, actually.
Well, see.
Okay, or Tony, okay, doesn't matter. Right. Any questions on the bills? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
You want that?
And that passes. We need to make a motion to adjourn into executive session to review official minutes, land disposition, and personnel.
So move.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? We're adjourned.